Good morning, everyone. Scooter coming to you here from the Granville Guitars World Headquarters in St. Petersburg, Florida. What we have here is a short video presentation to talk about locking tuners. There are a whole bunch of confusion and misinformation about locking tuners, how to use them, when to use them, etc. Now, this particular guitar is a Les Paul with a stop tailpiece, which, in my considered opinion, really doesn't need locking tuners, but a lot of players really like them. They feel they give them a better tone. They feel like they're faster string changes, etc. So they're on the guitar, and the strings were very badly installed when it came in. They had wrapped several winds around the posts, and that kind of defeats the purpose of a locking tuner altogether. The purpose of the locking tuner is to take that knot that generally has to happen around the post of the tuner, either with kinks and winds and whatever else you have to do. There's 100 different ways to do that. It takes all of that away and transforms it into a clamp. As you can see, there are these thumb wheels on the back of each one. Inside the shaft of each tuner, there's a long pin with rounded ends on it. That pin actually goes up through the center of the post. I'm going to flip this over now. It goes up through the center of the post and locks the string. I was trying to move my light into position there. Sorry for the pause. It locks the string in place so that there are no winds or kinks or bends or anything necessary for that to work properly. It alleviates all problems due to slippage from having string wound around that and tied in knots and whatever else we had to do over the years to get that stuff to stay. I have my own technique that I use that I covered in another video. It's technique that I use for just about every normal tuner. But there's a certain technique you need to use with a locking tuner. It's not very difficult. And it does simplify matters over the normal technique of stringing a string. But you still have to exercise some caution and do this the right way. I'm going to jack this neck up a little higher so I can get to the back of it. Here we go. Alright, so we're going to start with the low E string. Now I've set the post so that the hole runs parallel to the string travel, and you're going to loosen the thumb wheel until you can get the string through. You don't want to loosen it all the way. These are spurzels, and that pin will fall out and get lost if this set screw comes all the way off, so you have to be careful of that. Always want to keep your hand on it while you're doing this, because if it pops out, you'll play hell getting another one. So we're going to bring the string through just like this. Okay, now I'm going to take this side of the string that's coming out of the tuner. I'm going to get a fairly good. It's harder with the thinner strings, but it can be done. You just gotta wrap the string around your fingers a little bit and get a nice grip. And then I'm going to anchor myself at the end of the headstock with my index finger, and I'm going to pull until we've got a little bit of a pitch on the string. Then I'm just going to tighten this set screw. You don't have to crank it down. You just basically tighten it till it stops, and that should be plenty. At that point, I take this end and I'll bend it up so that it touches the top of the tuner post right there. Then I'll come in with a pair of cutters and clip it so that it's pretty close to the top of that and not liable to catch things like fingers or inside of cases and such. Okay, so now we're going to plug into the tuner, which I should have had ready already. Sorry about that. And we're going to tune to pitch. Now, as we're tuning this, you'll notice that this string starts to curve here. As soon as it starts to curve, give it a little tug so that it straightens out. It's going to curve some more as you're coming up to pitch. Give it another little tug so it's straight. Okay, there we have a low E string, tuned to pitch. Make sure that's straight at the very end. You want that to be straight because when you're going up and down pitch-wise, fretting notes at the other side of the nut, over here, when you're fretting notes and this string is getting bent and stretched and whatever, that slack, if it's not nice and straight, that right there will cause you some problems. If it's a little bit too curved, that's slack that's going to, not return to pitch. How well these locking tuners work obviously depends on a number of factors. Chiefly, you got to install them properly. You got to install the strings properly. The nut itself, the string nut here, it needs to be cut properly, it needs to be clean, and it needs to be lubricated properly. Having said all that, if you follow this procedure of how I install a string on a locking tuner, these guys will last you forever, and they'll do a fantastic job of keeping things in tune and stable and giving you great performance over the years. That's it. So the goal here was to show that you end up with no slack around this post whatsoever. The string goes in, it ends up at a right angle, and it's clamped, and there's no winds around it at all, ever. That is the main reason why a locking tuner works so well, because it eliminates those winds that can be a problem if your guitar is otherwise not set up as well as it should be. Okay, so that's it for today. If you have any questions about anything we do here at Granville Guitars, please feel free to seek us out on the web at granvilleguitars.com or on Facebook. That's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.